I am here at Comic-Con, joined now by Once Upon a Time. Thank you. Some excitement. It's toward the end of the day. But I mean, so obviously season 7, a lot is changing. Does it feel like in some ways you guys are getting to reinvent the show a little bit? Is there kind of like a renewed sense of energy around it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We were just discussing that.
So excited.
Yes, it's a whole different energy, and it's great. We couldn't be happier.
It's kind of like we've shot a pilot and we're now picked up to do a full season. You know what I mean? It's like a whole new thing, and I think we're very lucky. Well, certainly for Lana and I to be able to investigate our characters in a whole new, different way.
Sure.
And how we interact with all these fantastic new characters. And I think for the fans who are in any way concerned, they should always remember that it's the same creators, same writers who are 100% behind the show and want it to be the best show it can be. And I do genuinely think the first episode of this season is one of the best I've read of the entire show. Genuinely, I think it's one of the best episodes I've read since I started on the show. So.
How much have you guys shot? Just one?
We're in the middle of the
one and a half.
episode.
One and a half.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Let's
Two
talk
right
about.
now.
Tonally, does it feel a little different? Do you think it feels very much so like the same show?
I think it's a world. The world that they create is a fairy tale world, and it's a hopeful world. And I remember watching the pilot episode and thinking, this is great. This is so different than anything else that's in television, and happy endings are real, and I want to believe, and I want to do all this. And so to go through a journey, it like when you grow up with a show, right? And when you grow up in life, you go through these different struggles and pain and tribulations in your life to try to get to a resolution or to a different place, right? I feel like the show went to a different place, and now there's an opportunity because there is a young Henry and now going to be an older version for him to go out and find a brand new story. And everybody knows what that feels like as a young adult, right? When you leave your parents to go try to find your own story. So this is an opportunity for everyone to go back to that first feeling that what they had when they first started watching the show. Like, sure. I want to believe and I want to know what that's like. And I feel that way. So this is what's exciting about season 7.
Sure.
But yet we still, it's a similar formula. Like we still have our flashbacks, and in our flashbacks, we'll see these characters and we'll learn, how they came into this new world. And the new world, it's a different location than Storybrooke. Right. It's actually called Hyperion Heights, and it's in Seattle. So we're in a city. We're in a bigger city. We're not in like a tiny little suburb like we were before Storybrooke, Maine. Yeah. So there's a lot of different elements that we're bringing.
Feels the
to
same
it.
in an entirely different way.
Yeah, yeah, but I think it's a bit more modern too. I think it's a bit more modern.
Yeah, the urban setting for it actually does somehow shift the tone in a way.
It does,
It
does, and I think it would even aesthetically look different.
Yeah.
Whereas I know for myself as Regina, I was always in these pantsuits, and I was just, my hair was perfect, and I just looked a certain way, and now this new Regina is very different. Yeah. I'm out of pantsuits and into denim, So and it's cool. It's fun. It's different. It's exciting for Colin and I, who have been playing these characters for 6 years, to now, and even though we've played different versions of these characters over the years, we are now playing a very different version of our characters.
Well, I was talking to Bobby about it earlier on, and as Bobby pointed out, he sort of said, the show couldn't really progress any further the way it was. So the changes, you kind of have to make those changes for it to begin to progress even more, and that's important as well, because I think also anyone who's concerned about that, they're the same people who would be annoyed if you did the same thing over and over. So the only way is to change, and change is better because it makes it fresh for all of us.
And change is always scary, right? When you go through something different, but it's also exciting. And if you just remember that, if you really embrace it and really want to grow to a different place, I think it's great.
Yeah.
I mean, you can only people have their favorite book, and they've read it, however many times. But it's like, if we kept telling that same story 7, 8, 9 years, you're like, okay, we've seen it, right? Like, this is a new chapter. It's a new book.
It also gives an opportunity for actors. I think we were artists, so we want to explore different roles and different layers of like life, because as people we also grow and you get to a different place in life, and now you're growing into a different person. And I think this is just the show kind of growing into a different in different version of the same show. So it has the essence, and it has the history behind it that keeps the tone and keeps a lot of the things the same, but now it's growing to a different. It's almost like jumping dimensions, and now you're going into a different phase.
Sure.
Yeah.
There aren't many shows that could say they've done that 7 seasons in, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I want to touch on, we know episode 2 is a little bit of Hook-centric. Did you learn anything like new about this character that you've already played for so long?
Yep.
What was it?
Not telling.
This will definitely be your last interview if he tells you. Ever.
No, I learned some stuff. You learn some stuff when you watch the episode, which I'm absolutely forbidden to say. But I will say for the fans of like Hook and Emma, which was such a prominent part of certainly my character and the show became an entity into themselves. For the fans that Hook and Emma are happy and it's true love. So for the fans who are worried about that, that's there and that's it. You know what I mean? That's always going to be the case. But then you learn some things about this Hook in that episode, which might be surprising.
Yeah.
It's so difficult because we literally
Can't say
one we don't really
it's easier
entirely
for us
know.
to talk
Yeah.
because they know everything's a
One, we
secret
don't
with them.
entirely know because we're only like halfway through the second episode filming, and two, it's like literally we've been told.
But-
Can't really say.
But
Everything's on my side.
they are things that are very surprising and exciting. I mean, I'm new to the show, so I'm just sort of talking as a fan, like having watched it. But what is learned about your character is, to say the least, very surprising and exciting too. I mean, I think that's going to be a great episode
It's
too.
just you guys are so amazing. So it's gonna be great
It's
to
gonna
watch
be
you
great.
guys. Like as fan, like I'm also here as a fan. So it's just gonna be great to watch you guys really take on this different, this other layer of a character.
Yeah, it's great it's great to be able to do that. It's so rare for show to do 7 seasons anyway.
Right.
But to get to investigate a character that you know inside out and then have to redo it in a different way, it's a great exercise in acting, or sort of a study in that way, to do that without getting too technical or wanting to sound like
it's
an
a new
idiot.
challenge,
It's a new
right?
yeah.
It's a new challenge, which is what keeps everyone interested and
It's like
keeps
a
it
marriage.
interesting.
You don't want a divorce.
It's really good, is what it is.
You know what I mean? You
It's
want
really
to keep
good.
going. You're gonna see what else you became, and that's it's a journey.
Yeah. I am
So-
interested what it's been like for you 3 coming in, because it's one thing to come onto a new show, it's one thing to come onto an existing show, but to come onto an existing show that's kind of like reinventing itself, what has that experience been like?
Really cool.
Well, it's very tenuous, actually,
Yeah.
to involve yourself in something that's already established.
Sure.
And there's such a huge following to this particular story arc that disrupting that would be a big no-no. But as has been said here so eloquently, is that there is only so far one can go with the same story. So the day we cease to change, we cease to live, as Anthony DeMello once said, and it's so true, because there needs to be consistent re-education as to what the story is and to what the moral codes are of each story. And so I think it's hugely important to keep reinventing oneself in life and in fables.
Sure. Do you all have theories on who cast the new curse?
That's the part that I'm really
I haven't actually even
excited
thought
about.
about that, to be
I
honest.
have today. I've been talking about that
Thought
today.
about it.
That's the one. I mean, we've been able to talk a little more than Lana and Colin about our characters, because their characters are more of like people have been watching them and they really want to keep
big
that
reveal.
secret. It's a big reveal, but for me, I said that in an interview today. I said, what is going to be the new curse, and what are the consequences of this new curse, and where are we going to go in this, what was going to happen in this journey? And I think it's a little easier, at least for someone like me, and I don't want to speak for you, but maybe, but there's these characters have already existed, and even for Andrew, you know, the character of Henry, you still have watched this Henry grow up on the show, and now he's playing an older version of him. So I think that's a little more difficult because you're actually trying to stay, you know, to grow with your audience and to grow within this character, but still, you know, glorify and like pay respects to everything that's been done before.
Sure.
I will say it's a testament. It's a testament to Andy, the stuff that he's doing now. That people will say just how fantastically well he's embodied and taken on aspects of Henry that we know and made it into your own thing. And I think that's something that people, I think, will really respond to.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it is a balance between really taking into account the foundation that's been laid for 6 years, but then also taking into account the fact that there's been a significant amount of time that's passed since we've last seen Henry, and he's changed in some very significant ways too. So, you know, there are new facets to this guy that we just haven't seen yet. So it's a matter of also letting those aspects sort of become what they will. You know, finding that and exploring that and embracing the newness of that on top of, you know, the foundation that's been laid by Jared, you know, wonderfully for 6 years. So. Yeah, it's challenging but exciting too. I mean, when do you get to you just don't ever get to do stuff like that as an actor. So it's cool. Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so
Yeah.
much for stopping by.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for more from Comic-Con.